Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another great edition of Sports Étouffée. I'm your host, Logan Graffi, and on today's show, we're going to have fun once more. Seems like you guys love that top 5 cornerback episode, so we're going to do another top 5 episode for you guys today. Or I should say. So, today, send out a poll, top 5 running backs ever. And you guys voted. So, if you're mad about the list, maybe you should have voted. So, starting off with a really good one at number 5, Adrian Peterson, running back, Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma. Everyone knows him from his Minnesota Vikings days. And look, Adrian Peterson, when he put his cleats in the NFL dirt, as soon as they touched down, it was just go from there. It was like he was in second gear, third gear, fourth, whatever. He was just outstanding. And I'm reading the accolades as I'm talking to you guys, and he was Offensive Rookie of the Year, and then he was the MVP of the Pro Bowl that year too. And you look at, let's see. In 2012 was probably his best year yet. He won MVP that year. He was 9 yards shy of breaking Eric Dickerson's all-time single-season rushing record. Adrian Peterson finished with 2,097 yards. Add 9 to that, and that is Eric Dickerson's rushing record. He was the third fastest player to reach 10,000 rushing yards in NFL history. And during his time with the Vikings, he was a one-man show for the Vikings during that time. And once Brett Favre got there is when the Vikings started actually putting it all together. So, and then now let's just go through his career highlights and awards. He has the NFL record for the most rushing yards in a single game with 296. I remember watching that game. It was just outstanding. 4 yards shy of 300 rushing yards in a single game it sounds like Madden to me. So, MVP in 2012, NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2012, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2007, four-time first team All-Pro 2008, 2009, 2012, 2015, 7-time Pro Bowler 2007 through 2010, and then again in 2012, 2013, 2015. Led the league in rushing yards 3 times, 2008, 2012, 2015. A 2-time rushing touchdowns leader in 2009 and 2015. He's on the NFL 2010's All-Decade team. He's a 2-time Burt Bell Award winner in 2008 and 2012. He's the Art Rooney Award winner in 2019. He was on the NFL All-Rookie team in 2007. He won the Jim Brown, let's go through the college accolades too. Jim Brown Trophy in 2004. All-American in 2004, unanimous. Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year in 2004. Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year in 2004. So, and he finishes with a career rushing yards with 14,918. Close to just 15,000 all-time. 120 rushing touchdowns. 305 receptions. I mean, he was not a bad receiving running back. It wasn't his forte, but he's still Adrian Peterson. And he's number 5 on this list. Many wanted him higher, but after, getting the votes tallied and everything, it's just, this is where he landed. Now, at number 4, many people, I had a lot of debates with people on this, or you guys had a lot of debates on this in all the groups and all the social media pages I had. I put out my personal top 5, and you said, how can you not have Eric Dickerson on the list? So, at number 4 is Eric Dickerson, running back, SMU, Pony Express days at SMU, and there's the story of it says it right here, the story, I'm going to read it to you. Dickerson was the subject of a recruiting controversy when he started driving a new Pontiac Trans Am during his senior year of high school. He was committed to Texas A&M at the time, and then he signed with SMU. Crazy. I love when Texas A&M has bad things happen to them. Anyway, Eric Dickerson, all-time single-season rushing record in a single season. Adrian Peterson from before was 9 yards short of breaking his most rushing yards in a single season, which was 2,105. Still stands today. And I mean, one thing I could say about Eric Dickerson is the goggles. It's just the goggles alone that he wore when he played. It was a signature look. Not too many people really wore the goggles in football during the 80s, I want to say, especially running backs. He played for 4 teams, but many know him for his days with the Los Angeles Rams during the 80s. And if you look at his stats with the Rams, let's go, 84 was by far his best year with the Rams because of that was the second year with the Rams in 1984. 2,105 rushing yards, average 5.6 yards per carry, 14 touchdowns. But with the Rams, he only played with the Rams for about 3.5 years before being dealt to the Colts in 87. Now, Eric Dickerson, I think he was a little bit before his time. He also had the most rushing yards in a single season by a rookie with 1,808 yards. And he also has the record for most rushing yards in a playoff game by a running back with 248. So I understand why y'all made this argument to have him on the list. I argued to have Earl Campbell at this spot, but ultimately you guys won that battle. So let's just go through this. So he played with the Rams from 83 through 87. Then he had, I want to say some off years, but I could be wrong. With the Colts, he just seemed like he didn't miss a beat. But towards the end, like in 1990, started having a drop-off. And then he finished his career with the Atlanta Falcons, which he was a shell of his former self. 4 games played, 91 yards, 0 touchdowns. That's not Eric Dickerson-like at all. But he still had 2 1,000-yard seasons with the Colts before ultimately having just the triple digits his last 3 years in the league. And then in 93, like I said, he was a shell of his former self. So, let's go through these career highlights and awards, you guys. NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 1986. NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 1983. 3-time NFC Offensive Player of the Year in 83, 84, and 86. A 5-time First-Team All-Pro 83, 84, and 1986 through 1988. A 6-time Pro Bowler 1983, 1984, and 1986 through 1989. And he's a 4-time NFL rushing yards leader in 1983, 1984, 1986, and 1988. He's part of the NFL 1980s All-Decade Team, the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. He was a part of the All-Rookie Team in 1983. He's part of the St. Louis Football Ring of Fame, which is now probably the Los Angeles Ring of Fame now. The Rams retired number 29. He's part of the Colts Ring of Honor. This is college now. He was a unanimous All-American in 1982. He was a second-team All-American in 1981. And the SMU Mustangs have number 19 retired. And his NFL records, he still has 3 NFL records that still stand today that almost seem like they're going to be unbeatable with the way that offenses are ran these days with the aerial attack. As I stated earlier, most rushing yards in a single season, 2,105 yards. Most rushing yards in a season by a rookie with 1,808 yards, and most rushing yards in a playoff game with 248 yards. He finished his career as a NFL Hall of Famer and a college football Hall of Famer, and also finished his NFL career with around 1,400 yards or close to it, with 13,259 rushing yards, with 90 total rushing touchdowns. Eric Dickerson, number 4. Now, let's get to number 3. One of my favorite players that I didn't get to watch him personally because I was born in the 90s. So, one of the most, what I have to say at number 3, Jim Brown. Football player, actor, civil rights activist, just all around great human being. Not only is he number 3 on this list, but he's number 3 on my personal top 5 football players of all time. Not just running backs, football players of all time. Jim Brown could have played in any decade. He was timeless. And if you look at this is before the Super Bowl. He was an NFL champion in 1964. Jim Brown's career, he only played 8 years in the league. Only, if my math is correct, from 57 to 1965. He only played 8 years in the league. And at a time now where you look at it, running backs normally typically only play 10 years on average, if that. If you look at it, as I am, you have to look at his statistics, which I'm trying to find and pull up for you right here. I mean, he had 1,000-yard seasons. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 7 times during his career, he had 1,000-yard seasons. The only time he didn't was in 1957 and 1962. And he was only like 4 yards shy in 1962 of having 1,000 yards, and only around 58 yards shy in 1957, his rookie year. That's not even counting the amount of yardage he had in the postseason. In 1964, they won the championship. He had 114 yards rushing in that playoff run. Now, you look at his best year yet was in 1963, the year before they won the championship. 1,863 yards with an average of 6.4 yards per carry. He averaged 133 yards rushing per game. He had 12 touchdowns, and that's not even his best year yet, touchdown-wise, rushing. He had 17 touchdowns in 1958. So 1963 was probably Jim Brown's best year as a runner, despite him winning the championship in 1964. He won the league MVP 3 times. His rookie year in 1957, then in 1958, and then his last year in the league he won NFL MVP in 1965. And he led the league in rushing. Let's count it up here. He led the league in rushing yards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Led the league in rushing 8 times. That's unbelievable. Jim Brown, not only do you have to talk about him as the football player, but you have to talk about him as the civil rights activist, because around this time, you were having civil rights marches. Dr. King in 1963 when they had the March on Washington. There's this famous picture that goes around that's in black and white of Dr. King, Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's there, so many, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was there. The man was just outstanding. So you have to look at it as an actor. He played in a lot of movies. Some movies that I've seen, not many. One of them I've seen, I know I have, is He Got Game, when he was a role actor as one of the police officers in that movie with Denzel Washington and Ray Allen. So he started acting in 1964 when he was still playing in the league. And, I mean, he was in draft day, of course, because the Browns was on that. Then he was one of the coaches in Any Given Sunday. Now, any of his best works, I probably haven't seen. But that's not to say that they weren't great. I just personally haven't seen them. So, with that being said, let's go through his accolades. NFL champion in 1964. 3-time NFL MVP in 57, 58, and 65. NFL Rookie of the Year in 1957. 8-time first-team All-Pro in 1957 through 61, and then again from 1963 to 1965. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler. He was an 8-time NFL rushing yards leader from 57 through 61, and then from 63 through 65. He's a 5-time NFL rushing touchdowns leader from 57 through 59, and then again in 1963 and 1965. He was an NFL scoring leader in 1958. He's part of the NFL 1960s All-Decade Team. He's part of the NFL 50th Anniversary Team, the 75th Anniversary Team, and the 100th Anniversary Team. He won the Burt Bell Award in 1963. He's part of the Cleveland Browns Ring of Honor, and number 32 was retired by the Cleveland Browns, and then in college, he was a unanimous All-American in 1957. And Syracuse has retired to number 44. Jim Brown, number 3 on our list. At number 2 is a Mississippi native, Walter Payton, a.k.a. Hopefully you people get that reference. That's from Roll Bounce. Great movie. Now, many people want to know, how did Walter Payton get the nickname Sweetness? Let's just get that out the way first. And doing my research, it says that he gained the name Sweetness for his affable personality and graceful athleticism. And boy, was Walter Payton athletic. He could run, he can catch, he can even throw the ball. And you look at it, let's go to his college days. And he rushed, his best year in college was 1973 for the Jackson State Tigers. 1,139 yards, 24 touchdowns. That was his best year yet for JSU. Now, you get to NFL. Let's see how many times he led the league in rushing. He only led the league once in rushing, but during that time, he also won NFL MVP. 85, he won the Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears. 1985 Bears is considered one of the greatest teams of all time. So, 1977, it's according to what I'm looking at here, was his best year yet. He won MVP. He had 1,852 rushing yards, averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and he had 14 touchdowns. He led the league that year as well. He also had 269 receiving yards and only 2 touchdowns, which is crazy to me because he was great catching it out the backfield. So, and then you look at the postseason, 196 rushing yards in 1984 in the postseason, That was his best year yet. But he holds Bears franchise records, and he holds a lot of them. So let's just go through them. Bears franchise records, he has the most rush attempts for his career with 3,838. They ran that man until they couldn't run him anymore. Most rush attempts in a season was in 1984. This might be too many to talk about, you guys. Most rushing yards in a single season in 1977 with 1,852. And he also, most rush yards in a game in 1977 with 275. Him and Gale Sayers are have tied the franchise record with the Bears. Most rushing touchdowns in a single season with 14. He did it in 77 and again in 79. Most touchdowns for a career for the Bears is 125. He also has the most games with 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns scored for the Bears. And he has the most seasons for the Bears with rushing for over 1,000 yards. He did it 10 times. Now, Walter Payton sadly passed away, too short in life, at 46, dying from cancer. No, never mind. I thought it was cancer. He was a rare liver disease, according to what I'm reading here. Walter Payton played from 75 through 87 for the Chicago Bears. And the one thing that gets tossed around a lot film-wise is the time he threw for 2 touchdowns in a single game against my New Orleans Saints. And I want to say he was one of the first players to do that. So, let's go through his accolades. Super Bowl champion with the 85 Bears. NFL MVP in 1977. NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 1977. NFL Man of the Year in 1977. And I want to say it's now called the Walter Payton Man of the Year now, since forever. He was a 5-time first-team All-Pro in 76, 77, and 1980, 84, and 85. So 9-time Pro Bowler from 76 through 80, and then again from 83 through 86. NFL rushing yards leader in 97. NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 1977. He won the Burt Bell Award in 1985. He's part of the NFL 70s, 80s All-Decade team. And then he's also on the 75th anniversary and 100th anniversary all-time team. He's part of the 100 greatest Bears of all time. And he has the NFL record for most consecutive starts by a running back with 170. Finishes his career with 16,726 rushing yards with an average of 4.5 yards per carry, 110 touchdowns. He's a NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's also a College Football Hall of Famer. That is Walter Payton, a.k.a. Sweetness. Let's get to number 1, and that is the lightning quick Barry Sanders. When you talk Barry Sanders, I have to agree, has to be the greatest NFL running back of all time. I agree with the votes here. And the Lions, if they didn't have Barry Sanders during that time period, probably wouldn't have won as many games as they did. Barry Sanders was definitely before his time. Played from 89 through 98, played 9 years in the league. He won NFL MVP the year before he retired. Not many people can say that they rushed for 2,000 yards in a single season. Only very few have done it. So his best year yet was in 1997 when I was 1 year old. He rushed for 2,053 yards with an average of 6.1 yards per carry and 128 yards per game on average. That is insane, you guys. Barry Sanders, timeless. The way that he juked, the way that he moved, the way that he maneuvered his body in between the tackles, inside running, outside running, running down the sidelines. It was just, if he got out in open space, you wasn't catching him. I don't know what his 40 time is, but he looked like he just was running a 4.1 every time he got out in open space. The way that he would just make you miss, as I said, it was just, I'm at a loss for words, because what can you say about Barry Sanders that hasn't already been said? He rushed for over 1,000 yards in each year that he played. In all his NFL career, he rushed for over 1,000 yards. He played 9 years in the league. He did it 9 times. And he made the playoffs 5 times. He played in the playoffs 5 times, and all 5 times they lost. I don't know what I can say that hasn't already been said about Barry Sanders. Then you look at his college days, 1988, the year, then he, of course, came out in the draft and was drafted in 1989. 2,628 yards, 37 touchdowns at Oklahoma State in 1988. That is just insane. Like I said, I'm at a loss for words, because what can you say that hasn't already been said about Barry Sanders? He was also on the Madden cover of the original Madden 25 back in the day. Back in 2000, I want to say 2015 is when it came out, or even a little bit earlier than that. Someone might want to check me on that. Let's just get into his accolades here. He picked 3rd overall in 1989 by the Detroit Lions. Played his whole career there. NFL MVP in 1997. 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 94 and 97. NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 1989. 6-time First Team All-Pro in 1989 through 91, and then again in 94, 95, and 97. He was a 10-time Pro Bowler. He made the Pro Bowl in every year that he played. He was a 4-time NFL rushing yards leader from 90, 94, 96, and 97. NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 1991. He's part of the NFL 1990s All-Decade team. He's also part of the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time team. He was a part of the All-Rookie team in 1989. He's a 2-time Burt Bell Award winner from 91 through 97. He's part of the Detroit Lions 75th Anniversary team, the Detroit Lions All-Time team. Number 20 is also retired by the Detroit Lions in honor of Barry Sanders, and I think Billy Sims as well. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1988, the Max Bell in 88, the Walter Camp in 88, the Chick Harley Award in 1988. He was a unanimous All-American in 1988. In Oklahoma State, retired his number 21 jersey. He's also part of the Ring of Honor. He finished his NFL career with 15,269 yards with a rushing average of 5 yards per carry, and he finished just 1 touchdown shy of having 100 rushing touchdowns for his career with 99. He's a college football Hall of Famer, and he's also an NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer. Barry Sanders is your number 1 running back of all time, according to you guys. Well, you guys, this was an incredibly fun episode. I plan on doing more of these top 5s in the nearby future, so be sure to stay tuned for that. If you like this show, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this YouTube show all across social media. You can find me on social media on Twitter or X at TheSoulMan57. You can also follow Sports Étouffée's Twitter page at Sports Étouffée. You can find me on Facebook. Just search my name, Logan Graffia. With that being said, you guys, this has been another great edition of Sports Étouffée. I shall see you guys next time.